Be it real or metaphor, whatever is in your backpack or your briefcase or your purse that you've brought into this sanctuary that is weighing you down, leave it behind. Whatever you are carrying that is keeping you distracted or caught up in shame or guilt or hopelessness, leave it behind. If you need it, it will be here there when we're done, but for this hour, let it go. Come into this place with open hearts. Come into this place with a soul that has remembered how to be tender again. Come into this place with a renewed hope for this world. Come into this place ready to build a world we've always been worthy of and have dreamed of. Nathan Ryan. Randy will light our chalice this morning. Those of you at home are invited to light your own chalice now. We gather this hour as people of faith with joys and sorrows, gifts and needs. We light this beacon of hope as a sign of our quest for truth and meaning in celebration of the life we share together. Before we sing the first hymn, let me remind our remote participants to leave yourselves muted. However, we want you and whoever is with you to sing with us as big and loud as you like. Make it a joyous experience. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the opening hymn, Rising Green, number 1068. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist community of Cambria. We are glad you have joined us today. Our UUCC sanctuary sits on land that the Salinan and Chumash indigenous peoples historically inhabited. We honor their contribution to this region and give thanks for the opportunity to gather in faith on their unceded territory. Let us respect their legacy and protect their history as we occupy this sacred space. As Unitarian Universalists, we celebrate religious diversity and welcome all who journey in search of faith and spirituality. The UUCC is a lay-led congregation run by the democratic process. We invite speakers from different religious traditions and spiritual or scientific backgrounds to speak at our pulpit. We encourage presentations covering a wide variety of topics and areas of interest that connect with the UU7 principles. Today's service centers around the 7th principle. We affirm and promote respect for the interdependent web of all existence of which we are a part. My name is Sue Davis, and I'm your worship associate for this morning. I would like to extend a special welcome to guests and visitors. We are glad you have joined us this morning. I see someone trying to get in the door, but I think it's Margot. Yeah. Hello. Good to see you back, Art. If you're not on our mailing list, please visit the UUCC website at uuccambria.org so that we can keep you informed about all of our activities. Members and friends, please check out what's happening, the e-blast sent to you every week. This is a great way to keep up to date on our latest news. If you wish to see this or any of the past Zoom services, the recordings can be found on the UUCC website and on Facebook. So again, good morning and welcome to everyone. The affirmation is both a recognition of the nature of this community as well as a promise to which we aspire. Let us now sing the affirmation.
Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its prayer. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in freedom, and to help, and to help, and to help one another.
We set aside this time for any special announcements that would be of interest to our UU community members and friends. Please keep your items short and to the point. If something needs more explanation, contact the person after the service. I have the first announcement. The photos that you have submitted, they're coming in and they're looking good for our postcard. We're going to be having a difficult choice to choose them, but we still need some more. So they're due by the September 5th. And please, if you have a photograph that's Cambrian and colorful and appropriate for a postcard, please send it to Lori or myself. Thank you. If you would like to make an announcement, raise your hand. When Andy or I call your name, please stand up to the podium, come up to the podium, unmute yourself, then speak. Who have we got first? Any announcements? Come on up, Randy.
Okay, tonight is the last performance of the Follies, so if you haven't seen it yet, tonight's your last chance at 7 o'clock. Tickets at the door if you don't have them already, and I think you'll have a great time. Thank you.
It was good, lots of laughs. If you'd like to see Joel in a zebra suit. Okay, any more announcements? How about in Zoomland, Andy?
Okay, well, I'll mention that the men's group meets again tomorrow here in the sanctuary with a Zoom link if you would like to connect online. Also, a reminder that our meditation group continues meeting on Thursday mornings at 10 a.m. Now stand by. Okay, we have one announcement, just a second, from, I believe it's Jeff, if you would unmute yourself. Go ahead, Jeff.
Hi there, folks. No big deal. Just wanted to say hi and mention that I have my friend Don. Don, lean over here. There we go. He's up. He's joining the group tonight. So anyway, hi everyone. Just thought I'd say hi, and there you go. Don's up. He's an artist from and also a historian, architectural historian from Yosemite. He's taking care of the park for us out here. Anyway, there you go.
Okay, welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Back to you, Sue.
Next week, Diane DeMarco will present Awakening Journey. We take this time to celebrate all those who are having a birthday this month. Birthdays are special, a day when we celebrate your entry into this world and honor your existence. If you have a birthday this month, please raise your hand. When Andy or I call on you, please reveal your special day. And here's the birthday candle for you. Janet.
Well, secret along with a whole lot of people. I'm turning 70 on the 25th.
Woohoo! Nice. Kat, 23rd. Anyone else here? How about in Zoom land? Any birthdays?
No hands are raised, I guess not.
Well, this birthday candle honors all our friends and family members who are also celebrating birthdays this month. Thank you, Mary. Sharing together some of our personal and significant joys and concerns brings us closer as a faith community. We invite you to share the milestones that are deeply felt as part of your personal life. Express a gratitude or perhaps offer an acknowledgement, but please be mindful and considerate of all who come to worship with us this morning. The collective flames of these candles embody all the joys and concerns which may have gone unspoken today, but are deeply felt in this community. The first reading is a poem titled The Trees by Kenneth L. Patton. It's based on a passage from the book of Mark. I see men as trees walking. We were taught music among the leaves before we descended upright to our foraging. Our fingers curved to upholding limbs, swinging over the wild world, safe above prowling beasts on the forest floor. Before ever we laid stone on stone or corbelled a vault, the grove was our temple, the dusk beneath the leaves, a holy place. We ring trees around our homes, set them as borders on our avenues, make them pillars of our habitations, the signposts of our tenure. They spread their rafters above our dwellings, leaves sheltering shingles, their stirrings breaking the silent night. Measureless is their blessing, treasures of flowers, fruits, and hardy encasements of nuts. Busting into springtime, they shatter the landscape with riots of blossoms, heralding the burgeoning, announcing autumn in tidal colors of remission. In winter, their boughs signal are jeweled in ice and snow. Logs on the fire, evergreens tinseled with faith, celebrate the turning of a year. Faithful companions, where they take root, they remain until they die or until we transplant them. They do not pack up and leave in the night. In the morning, they stay where they stood. They do not divorce us and move to another town. We too are natives to our place, born where we stand. No country is more blessed than the homeland where our seed sprouts. When we are wise, we die in our original soils. Trees instruct us to be what we are, where we are, while we are, endowing shade and succor to them who rest beneath our branches. Let us enter a place of peace and serenity where you are one with your spiritual being. Be at peace within your space where the absence of all that is temporal is its most cherished gift. Let us enter the stillness. May you trust your highest power that you are exactly where you are meant to be. May you not forget the infinite possibilities that are born of faith. May you use those gifts that you have received and pass on the love that has been given you. Let this presence settle into your bones and allow your soul the freedom to sing and dance. It is there for each and every one of you. Amen. The second reading is a quote from Galen Rathbun, a research ecologist. Without our oaks and pines, we will be just like any other seaside town from here to Los Angeles. Houses squeezed together on a hillside, trying to get that peak of the ocean. Our forest helps define our community and thereby makes us different and a highly desirable place to live. Please stand in body or spirit and sing "We Celebrate the Web of Life," number 175.
We celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing, for we can see
Today's talk is titled, Does Our Forest Have a History? To be delivered by Wayne Attoe. Wayne's career has been teaching. He worked in architecture and has written books, architectural books, writing and building. His most recent books are Cambria in the Images of America series of Arcadia Publishing and A History of Green Space, the Cambria Land Trust. He moved here in 1993 with Peter Frith. In 2008, they were possibly the first same-sex couple in Cambria to be married. Wayne joined the Green Space Board in 1996. Please welcome Wayne.
It's nice to be back, standing tall. Does our forest have a history or a story? We'll find out. You know what the answer is. Monterey pine and oak forest spread along the coast here from north of what we know of as San Francisco and down to what we know as San Diego. That was tens of thousands of years ago. Humans appeared in the forest about 10,000 years ago. Chumash and Salinan people tended the forest almost like a garden, producing food, medicine, materials for tools, shelter, and rituals. Grinding mortars like these are found in the area, and they were used to process corns into mash, which was leached and cooked. 250 years ago, the first expedition of Europeans came through the area seeking a land route to Monterey Bay. They camped near the site of our current high schools. Let's see if I can make this work. This doesn't reflect off the screen. So down just below the center, you can see Coast Union High School, and then below that, you can see Santa Rosa Creek, and it was there that the first Europeans camped. Native people gave them forest-sourced food, including atole made of acorns, and also fresh fish. Wrong one. A bit earlier, Europeans traveling by sea had arrived at Monterey Bay, and they noted unfamiliar looking pines on shore. A sailor drew this view up on the top on the right from his ship. Europe in those days was an age of identification and classification, and specimens of these trees were sent to England, where a taxonomist named the species Pinus radiata, which refers to the whorl on the cone. In America, people came to call them Monterey pines. Once Europeans had trod on this new to them land, they figured it was theirs. Don Juliano Estrada's claim for land included a visual depiction. When you wanted to claim land, you had to produce an image of what it is you expected you were getting. 13,000 acre Rancho Santa Rosa. This drawing in the middle there is possibly the earliest depiction of our forest. It's an adaptation of the drawing that Estrada submitted. Oh, and you see the trail crossing Arroyo Santa Rosa. Well, right now we're located a little over there to the left from that. The forest was harvested. It provided a bounty of timber for European settlers, but it was more akin to gleaning than gardening because gardening requires a reinvestment. Land was subdivided and sold to settlers and speculators. Everyone who had plots along the newly laid out streets needed lumber. And here, this is on the Phelan Ranch, logs being taken to a sawmill, of which there were 3 here. So they were harvested here, but they were planted there. Pine seeds were taken from to Australia and New Zealand, where scientists were seeking a tree species to grow for lumber and pulp in the southern hemisphere. A suitable native species for those needs didn't exist in the southern hemisphere. 50 years later, one seed source at a newly planted plantation near Auckland, New Zealand, was recorded as being from Santa Rosa. Now, 150 years later, millions of acres of Pinus radiata are grown and harvested on plantations throughout the southern hemisphere. It's kind of an industrial scale of gardening, I guess. Because genetic monotypes have been developed for use in those plantations, the genetic diversity of the Cambria Monterey pine forest would seem important to conserve. For special community occasions, like the Swiss-Italian heritage celebrations, folks took to forest settings east of town, including one called Phelan's Grove. Logging of the forest there had cleared enough land for horse races, rodeo events, and baseball games. Yet the forest still provided shade for picnics, barbecues, and concerts. On the left is a king and queen from Swiss-American days. Up on the right, this is the daughters, the native daughters group at Phelan's Grove. And lower right, the horse-drawn wagons processing up Bridge Street to the Grove added ceremony to these occasions. And Bridge Street is named that because you see just to the right of all the horse carts, those bridges leading to buildings. That's an active waterway, still is, but it's underground now. So everybody had a bridge, and it was named Bridge Street. And the forest experience had a price. 1927, the Cambria Pines Development Company bought large forested areas abutting the village of Cambria. Lots and houses were marketed as a resort development and for second homes. Cambria Pines by the Sea, a slogan, was originated at that time. And the local newspaper, which helped promote sales, adopted a log-inspired typeface. I'm not sure that the word mentor is quite right here. Let me know. For 7 decades, the Cambria Forest it hosted both young and old at camps, including Camp Ocean Pines. Some of the cabins there were built with timber and siding milled from wind-felled trees on the property, including the beam, which you see being erected there during construction. Bunk beds, this is interesting. Bunk beds in some of the cabins were crafted using plywood from Chile that had been made from Pinus radiata trees, which had been introduced there for use in its lumber industry in the 1940s. And the forest at risk. Following the Santa Barbara oil spill in '69 and other disasters at the time, action was triggered throughout the country. San Luis Obispo County developed plans for the Cambria area, quote, assuring the protection of coastal resources such as wetlands, coastal streams, forests, marine habitats, and wildlife, including threatened and endangered species. The United Nations at the time, in a report, called Monterey Pines a world genetic resource. The Land Conservancy of San Luis Obispo County and Greenspace, the Cambria Land Trust, both were founded in the late 1980s. And 1986, the pathogen pitch canker threatened California's forests. It came here from the American Southeast forests. Foresters from New Zealand visited Cambria to learn firsthand about pitch canker disease. And here you see Rick Hawley giving them a lesson. Reportedly, the Kiwis, when they returned home, ditched their clothing here. And the forest is being protected. As parts of the Cambria native forest were being transformed by real estate development, state agencies began conserving land here for use as parks. San Simeon State Park was notable. Locally, forest and open space conservation increased through efforts of numerous nonprofit conservancies and state agencies. And now over 60% of the area surrounding Cambria is protected through public or nonprofit ownership or with conservation easements. For example, the 800 acres of forest on the Covell Ranch are protected with an easement held by the Nature Conservancy. So this is a very dramatic map. And everything that's colored in boxes is protected land, protected in one way or another. I can't point them out, but the Fiscalini Ranch Preserve is the pink toward the low middle. Down here in the low right, the bright green, that's Strawberry Canyon, and the Fitzwater property, they're closer to the highway. And well, anyway, that number, over 60%, is gratifying, but we're not done. The Cambria forest became fragmented in the last 90 years, though some portions, like Strawberry Canyon, are largely untouched and provide wildlife corridors to other native stands, like the San Marino Ranch and Camp Ocean Pines. In developed areas, the county requires that trees that are removed be replaced. I think it's 4-to-1. And Green Space supports that program by making seedlings available for that purpose. A bolder Green Space vision is to expand the forest beyond the urban service line, where it wouldn't be in jeopardy of development. Currently, Green Space has a multi-year reforestation project, which Ted referred to, out at San Simeon State Park, where we've planted 6,000 of the 10,000 tree goal, and we'll be planting another 1,000 in November. And then we are planning another 10,000 tree program. Up there on the right, Jason Anderson grew hundreds of seedlings for us in his backyard. He was partially blind, and this was an activity that he could do and enjoyed. And down below, we see a family planting out in San Simeon. And the forest has become a learning laboratory for teaching ecology with infield learning by doing experience. And that goes from preschool through to college level. The Harold J. Miosi Charitable Trust is a sponsor of our education program. So down on the left, you see a class of Cambria school kids being introduced to experiments by Green Space staff and volunteers. And on the right, this is the plant science laboratory at Cuesta College North, where Rick and Dr. Bob Chukowski made presentations, and the students there now are growing another 500 seedlings for us. And then they all come out to help plant too. So last year we had 94 people planting. It was meant to be a 2-day project. Took 6 hours. So, does our forest have a history or a story? Well, it's been tended like a garden, divided into parcels that were owned by Europeans. It's been harvested for building materials, cleared for agriculture, animals and crops, sent overseas for a life as a crop, divided and thinned so that humans could inhabit it, romanticized to attract visitors and residents, conserved as nature, and used as a locale for learning. You can learn more about any and all of this at Greenspace website and email to info. Thank you.
Oh, yeah, let's do it now. No, he wants to do it now, yeah. We want, Wayne, we have time for Q and C now. It's better to do it before we hold hands, so.
Okay.
There you go. I have a question.
Yeah.
What was that big purpley colored plot of land?
That's Covell Ranch.
That must be nice. Wow. Huge, bigger than Fiscalini?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Yeah.
What about the yellow one?
The yellow one up toward the top, it's kind of gold color. That's a conservation easement held by the Land Conservancy of San Luis Obispo County. Oh, yeah, up there, right.
With the project in the yellow, obviously that's what I was talking about before. But you mentioned another 10,000 tree project? Where would that be located?
I don't have an answer, but we're making a vigorous effort to find public, private, conserved land. So we're confident.
The land that is near Strawberry Canyon, south to Camp Ocean Pines, all that wooded area that's west of Top of the World neighborhood.
Yeah.
Who owns all that?
Strawberry Canyon is kind of like in the middle, and that's the bright green. The periphery along the streets is divided up, and much of that has housing on it.
No. South of Strawberry Hill, going up the hill, and then west of there.
Okay.
Between the houses and
Yeah.
Camp Ocean Pines.
Okay, there's a big, I think it's 5-acre home site, but Rancho Marino comes up and abuts, and Camp Ocean Pines. Oh, and there's a Fiscalini Ranch down there as well.
A working ranch?
Yeah. Mhm.
It's a large wooded area, much bigger than Strawberry Canyon and Camp Ocean Pines that goes to the south. It's a very large area.
That's San Marino, I think.
Well, there's some of it that is not, it's privately owned, but not built upon. And it's in our sights.
I bet.
I heard the University of California, the state owns some of it.
Well, Rancho Marino is, UC Santa Barbara has a contract with them for that as a nature study place.
Rancho Marina?
Yeah.
I think it was Rancho
Who is, well, it used to be called the Sibley Ranch. And let's see, and then, yeah. Oh, and before that, Getty, owned by members of the Getty family. But, I'm sorry?
It's privately owned, it's privately owned.
It's privately owned, but it is leased to the University of California under some terms. There's a contract. But beyond that, I don't know the legalities of it.
Wayne, what's gonna happen, the green space just took over that little section that's next to the Chinese temple by the post office, where the unhoused people need to vacate soon. What will you do with that?
You're talking about down near the post office?
Yes.
The end of the dead. Okay, CCSD is the property owner.
They're the ones. It's not green space. Okay. Oh. For the what?
Okay, you might want to let people on Zoom know, that area, and Wayne, if you could tell them that area was sold, because I don't think they heard Dawn. That area was sold to who? Historical Society, and they're gonna place the little jail that we've got.
Right, the little jail that's near the Pine Dorado grounds is going to be moved to that site.
In the 90s, when I moved here, they were working on a project to develop pitch pine canker resistant trees. Was that successful, and are the new trees you're planting pitch pine resistant?
It turned out that trees can get pitch canker, but not die. So that has turned out to be the salvation of the forest.
In the 1990s, there were people actually saying in 20 years they're all going to be gone.
Right, there was a projection of 85% death rate, yeah.
Yay.
From what, I went to a very interesting seminar on treescapes 3 or 4 years ago, and they were talking about the challenge of climate change on the trees because of the extended growing season and so on. Did they do anything genetically to the trees that were planted to make them more drought resistant, or?
Not that I'm aware of. Unless, well, I don't know what they're doing in the Southern Hemisphere, because they got a lot of science going into that. But I'm not aware of that. Doesn't mean it isn't happening.
Right.
Thank you,
Thank
Wayne.
you.
Thank you. Thanks for answering those questions on the spot. The good news is the trees are strong, and that's what we've learned. I think the strong survive and they multiply. Thank you, Wayne. The morning offering will now be given and received. Please remember, we are a self-sustaining congregation and provide all financial resources for our many ministries. We recognize the spiritual value of generosity and invite you to participate. If you are viewing this service remotely, please use one of the methods shown on the screen. Thank you. Today, Steve Nathanson will be playing an original of his, In Its Own Time.
Let me just say, thank you. Let me just say, this song started with a walk in San Simeon Park and ended during fire at Maui. Ocean drowns the land in its own time. Rocks take back the tide in their own time. Sand comes back and reclaims it from the ocean. Seagulls and oyster catchers move in a motion. Trees hold back the raging ocean in our own time, in their own time. The ever-forward path moves on in its own time. Fire can take a town away in no time. Climate change or greedy man's play, the outcome is cloaked in shades of gray. The world needs to fix it or die in our now time. Push and pull, the ever-ending, the restless tide of life. Always trending, it does man no good to go on pretending that wash, rinse, repeat is okay. Rain takes down the mighty hill in its own time. Rivers used to run at will in their own time. Eucalyptus trees shed their skin. The sun comes along and makes a fiery din. If we don't fix it, we can't win in our now time. Push and pull, it's unending, the restless tide of life. Always trending, it does man no good to go on pretending that wash, rinse, repeat is okay. The rain takes down the mighty hill in its own time. Rivers used to run at will in their own time. Eucalyptus trees shed their skin. The sun comes along and makes a fiery din. If we don't fix it, we can't win in our now time. In our now time. In our now time.
Thank you. Our thanks for all gifts given and received for the work of this community. Please stand in body or spirit and sing the closing hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Oh, below me I feel no motion, standing on these mountains and plains, far away from the rolling ocean. Still my dry land heart can say, I've been sailing all my life now, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home. Sun, my sail, and moon, my rudder, as I ply the starry sea, leaning over the edge in wonder, casting questions into the deep, drifting here with my ship's companions, all we making our way by the lights of the heavens in our beautiful blue boat home. I give thanks to the waves upholding me, hail the great winds urging me on, greet the infinite sea before me, sing the sky my sailor's song. I was born upon the fathoms, never harbor or port have I known. The wide universe is the ocean I travel, and the earth is my blue boat home.
Thank you. That's always one of my favorites. Beautiful. As we prepare to extinguish the chalice, let us recite the valediction. We extinguish this flame, but we keep it light in our hearts with its message of love and justice, taking it outside these walls in the world we live in. Please extinguish your chalice at home now. Now let's form a circle and join hands. Wayne has the benediction.
Yeah, because there's always, I'm always the missing link.
Sorry. This is by Norman Naylor. Our eyes and minds turn now toward the ordinary. Leaving this space made sacred by our presence, take with you at least some seed of understanding, hope, and courage, and drop it into the confusion of the world. Nourish the seed that it might grow as a tree of life, giving shelter to the weary and hope to the despairing. Be yourself a branch of the tree of life. Beautiful. That was nice.